Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Nowadays, the rich are playing at the game of saving the world. And one of the games that they are playing, there are 3-4 different games. And one of the games they are playing is food, the shortage of which is going to haunt us. And the second game is pollution. But they ignore that the human beings are very resilient and they always find a way to cope with the issues. If the resilience and the ingenuity of the human beings were not to be there, then we would not be where we are, the acme at the top of knowledge. And that is not come the end. It is still expanding, going onward every day. Are you aware that now the scientists in Finland, and which is not a poor country, they have produced a protein from thin air and it would compete with soya on price. So very cheap and the cost is going to be thin. The protein is produced from the soil bacteria, fat and protein, separate from water by electricity. And the electricity is produced again either with the wind or with the sun. And the researchers say that if the electricity can come from the renewable energy, the food can be grown with near 0-degree greenhouse gas emissions. Zero greenhouse gas emissions, zero pollution, and the food is practically free. So the games that are being played at Davos in Switzerland with the World Economic Forum, by the rich, or by the demented, misled people, I shouldn't say demented, I'll say misled people. The protein flow is called soline and it tastes absolutely not bad. It's neutral in taste and it's a neutral additive to all foods. It can mimic palm oil by reinforcing pies, ice cream, biscuits, pasta, noodles, sauces, bread. And it can be used as a medium for growing cultured meat or cultured fish. It can also nourish cattle and save them from soya raised on the rainforest land. Now, soya is a product which is basically polluted. It is produced in the rainforest areas. So originally this technology was developed for the space industry way back in 1960, but then nobody ever used it. So what they do is they split water using electrolysis to make hydrogen. The hydrogen and the carbon dioxide from the air and minerals are fed to bacteria and they produced this protein. And as I said earlier, this is the hope for the future. According to the scientist leader Monbot, the future of the steppe, future of the planet, now is not that bad the way it's envisaged by the players at Davos. Food production is ripping the world apart, and that's true. A lot of people are going hungry. I've been talking about that. And fishing and farming are by the long way the greatest cause of extinction of biodiversity. Farmer is a major contributor to the climate change. But the farm-free food creates astonishing possibilities to save both people and the planet. So you are shifting from the plant-based food to save species and the places. And according to that, the protein from precision fermentation would be 10 times cheaper than the animal protein by 2035. So cheaper better. What more do you want? And it is several times more efficient than soya in terms of land use and requires 1/10 of water. So it's a water saving, it's land saving, it's zero pollutant, and it's cheap. Isn't that something which excites you? It should. But there are some people in Davos who are disturbed. They don't want solutions to the problems, they want only the problems. Anyway, another thing, UK Botanical Gardens have released a list containing 10 of the most remarkable plants which were discovered this year. Again, nature is with our hand, there to help us. We don't want to do it. As a matter of fact, 110 plant species were identified in 2019. Are you aware? No. Out of them, 10 are excellently useful. For example, miracle berry, tragic orchid. These are some of the fungi which are threatened with extinction, but they are not. Now, miracle berry is found in Africa, produces a compound called miraculate, which blocks the taste buds and makes even the sour foods taste sweet. So eat that berry, and then you can take sour food and enjoy it as like a dessert. So the people suffering from diabetes and having a sweet tooth, for them this is quite a reward. Take one berry and then you can do it. There are 40 species of this miracle berry. Then there is a new snowdrop species called Galanthus barsano. And this is one of the best in the world. Then Rubosfera, which is good for arthritis, has been discovered in China. As a matter of fact, in China, they say it has been used for 4 centuries. That is almost 400 years. Then another fungus, which is traditionally used to treat arthritis, has been discovered, and it contains compound known as hyperocillin, which not only cures asthma, but also reduces the chances of the bone density being reduced. Are you still worried about the future? Tim Muttridge, as the Royal Botanical Gardens says, that this is essentially a step towards moving away from the pharmaceuticals manufactured towards nature cure. And that is the best thing that can happen to the healthcare. Another other games being played at Davos. And then, nature comes another way. There's a strange microbe in the ocean muck, the dirt, nauseating soil, smelling. And it's a clue to the origin of complex cells of all animals and plants. And it has been now discovered. It's not an invention. Our microbe is in the flora of Pacific, and it helps us understand not only the complex life on the planet, but solves one of the deepest mysteries in biology. It is 2 billion years back that the simple cells grew to more complex cells. And the biologists didn't know how did it happen. One simple cell, unicell, growing into complex cells. So they were thinking there must be some predecessors on the evolutionary road. But they were not even aware. Now the new species shows the missing link, the transitional form, and explains the origin of all animals, human beings, plants, fungi, and I happened to read it in the journal Nature. It's going to have a great impact on our future of learning and understanding what we are, how our cells turn cancerous, And you see, according to the scientists, our cells are stuffed with containers. So they store DNA in a nucleus and generate fuel in the compartments called mitochondria. So they destroy the old proteins inside the tiny housing machine. And these cells can protect those DNA nuclei from being destroyed. A great discovery, but which will lead to further great discoveries and inventions. And now, one disease which is tormenting us is Parkinson's. Just yesterday, CBC reported that more than 60,000 people in GTA alone suffer from Parkinson's, and more than 600,000 people in Canada are victims of this debilitating disease. And it has been found that there is a common prebiotic which can prevent the toxic proteins associated with the Parkinson's. This is a gut bacteria which has been ignored. It has shown that microbiome as a gut bacteria is responsible for the progress of Parkinson's. So the journal Cell report describes this probiotic bacteria can prevent the abnormal accumulation of the protein associated with neurological damage that causes Parkinson's. What is Parkinson's? It's a progressive cell death of the brain's dopamine secreting neurons. So if you can protect those neurons from being destroyed, you don't have Parkinson's. So these toxic proteins aggregate are called Lewy bodies. Now, it has been found that the Parkinson's is not basically a function of the brain. To the brain cells are destroyed, it is a function of the gut. And those bodies which destroy the brain cells find their origin in the gut. So if your gut is okay, your brain is going to be okay. And the psychological symptoms that we associate and the physiological symptoms that we associate with Parkinson's disease can be controlled if we can control this. And now two universities are doing a tremendous job, University of Edinburgh and University of Dundee. They have identified now which probiotic can protect us. So naturally, we can go further and further. And then, frogs, we don't care about the croaking of the frogs, they come and go. They power the living robots. The University of Vermont and the University of Tufts have used the cells of the African frogs. And they have developed those frogs, the cells, ordinary small microscopic cells, into living frogs, into living robots. They are living. This has been used by combination of frog skin and heart cells in a virtual environment in the labs. And the robots are very small, less than 1 millimeter in length, but they are great beneficiaries. Small robots can help clean polluted water, administer medicine to the patients, and even assist in the surgical procedures. Stanford University has also done the same research, and they have attached pigeon feathers to a flying robot called pigeon boat. And the purpose is to use these pigeon boats to adjust mid-flight problems which can help aviation industry. So cleaning water, make undrinkable water into drinkable water is again being held. And the aviation industry, the recent air crashes sent a chill down the spine. So what the Stanford University has done it. And before we end, I talked earlier, cancer. University of Georgia has developed a treatment that uses common salt, sodium chloride, nanoparticles to kill cancer cells. It has been found by the Georgia University that the cancer cells are particularly sensitive to sodium. Sodium may not impact the healthy cells, but it kills the cancer cells. So these nanoparticles penetrate the cancer cells and then kill them. First, they destroy the defenses of the cell and then destroy them. So when you're dealing with salt, side effects are minimal as compared to the other therapies. Radiation and others, they are extremely harmful. But the salt therapy, they say, is not harmful. And the nanoparticles from ordinary table salt are so effective that they are almost 90% effective in treating cancer tumors. And the necrosed tumor cells produce an anti-cancerous vaccine in situ. So what they are saying is that for each patient, these nanoparticles can be injected, produced in situ, and then administered to the patients. Now, when is this treatment going to be really used? Depends on the doctors, but this is a great breakthrough. So, how do you like the new developments? And don't you think that the game playing by the Richie Rich, posing to the saviors, shows the hollowness of the claims, because the science is producing such miracles that makes all these fears meaningless. More on the frontiers of knowledge next week. Thank you.